What if the forest didn't save you, but actually hunted you? What if the ancient magic we romanticize of all these moss-covered deities and all these whispering trees weren't actually guardians at all, but creatures that are waiting for the perfect opportunity or the perfect person to wander a little bit too far? And today, I want to talk about why this book unsettled me so deeply, because the main point is not about what lives in the forest, but why would someone walk into it so willingly? Hello, my gorgeous viewers and readers, and Happy New Year! I hope that your New Year's Eve was filled with cocktails or mocktails if you don't drink, questionable dance moves, and at least one promise that you fully intend to break by February. Today, I want to talk about the first book that I finished in 2026 and the book that I can't stop thinking about, which is The Green Man of Eshwood Hall by Jacob Koerr. This book came to me at exactly the right and probably most dangerous time, because as someone who grew up in a small town, surrounded by forests, by folklore, but also surrounded by the belief that nature is not kind but is fair, this book transported me and made me remind myself of something that was half forgotten, but also something that was ancient and something that I remember growing up with. I have lived in London for years now, but this book fully transported me back into the forest, back into the woods, into the damp soils and the creaking branches, and also the small belief that someone is watching you and has been watching you for quite a while, but you don't really know what is actually watching you. So if you're here for nice cottagecore vibes or gentle forest spirits or a mother nature that is kind and nurturing, this video is not for you, because this book will teach you or will ask you a question, which is, what if nature is not kind and is not protecting the vulnerable, but actually hunting them down? This story follows Izzy, a young girl living in a deeply dysfunctional family in the edges of Eshwood Hall, which is a mansion in the outskirts of a really tiny town in England. Everything that happens around her, or the issues that the family suffers, appear long before anything supernatural ever happens, because we see that the actual issue of the family is the dynamics within the characters. The family is falling apart because both parents, both the mother, Jerry, and the father, Ray, are actually deeply dysfunctional and severely emotional immature. We see that Jerry is very self-absorbed, narcissistic, cruel, but also enjoys hurting Izzy in verbal ways, right? She likes to put her down, and also she likes to use her as a servant or as a nanny, basically. Whilst Ray, even though he is not abusive or not self-absorbent, he is actually emotionally absent. He is more preoccupied with everything that he wants to do, like his inventions and his creations, rather than actually feeding and keeping the family safe, alive, and well. Izzy's life is one of quiet suffering. She is neglected, she is abused by the people she loves most, but most importantly, we see how her childhood is slowly stripped away from her, especially after her little brother is born. We see how Izzy's life suddenly turns into the life of a servant, the life of a nanny, and the life of a cook. But more specifically, no one seems to be thankful for Izzy's efforts, even though she is a child. We see how no matter what she does, no matter how much effort she puts into the tasks that she has to perform, she is still abused and she is still insulted for the mistakes that she makes. And suddenly, in an effort to find peace, to find solace, she discovers the forest of Eshwood Hall. But most importantly, she discovers something in this forest. She discovers the Green Man, which is a pre-Christian myth or a pre-Christian creature who appears as gentle, as caring, as protective, and as ancient. There is a power that he has that she doesn't seem to understand, but also that she doesn't seem to reach but deeply respects. This is the kind of creature that she finds, and suddenly she creates this sort of friendship between the two creatures, or between Izzy and the green man, where both of them help each other in a moment of need. When Izzy needs something, or she needs some sort of help that she doesn't know who to go to, she goes to the green man, and the green man agrees to help her, but she has to pay a price. But most importantly, what the green man offers Izzy is something that she never gets from anyone, which is protection, care, validation, but also the promise to escape. But as many folktales, or I would say as all folktales, there are always rules that you have to follow and that you can't skip, because ancient kindness is never free. One of the things that fascinated me the most about this book is the fact that it uses one of the most interesting but also most important elements of folktales, right? Which is the fact that a child is always the bridge between the mortal and the magic world. In folklore, children are not magical because they are innocent. They are magical because they are unprotected. Because children have always existed in liminal spaces, right? They are in the middle between dependence and autonomy, but also safety and danger, and also imagination and reality. They are always in the middle because we don't know what to do with them. And this is exactly Izzy's position, right? She is adultified, but also she is still a child. She has autonomy and she is hyper-dependent, but also she still has to follow the rules that her parents give her, if they give her any, right? And we see how Izzy is always trying to find a place to escape, right? A place where she can be a child and a place where she can be free of everything, right? That is why she meets the green man, because the green man offers her this space where she can be herself. When she can be a child, she doesn't need dependency. She doesn't need autonomy. She can just be herself. She can just exist. Because what Izzy wants is to be saved from the life that she has. She wants to make all this pain disappear, and she wants her parents to stop being either neglectful or abusive, right? So at this point, or how I see it, is that magic doesn't really appear to her, right? She is the one that is actually searching for the magic. She is the one that wants to change things. And I think that this distinction actually matters. Let me tell you why. If we look into Izzy's life, we very clearly see that the main issue that she has within her family or within her life is the fact that she has emotionally immature parents, right? If we start with Jerry, with the mom, we see that not only she is narcissistic, self-absorbed and cruel, as I mentioned earlier, but also she has these delusions of grandeur. She has these sense that she deserves a life that she doesn't have, right? Or that she cannot afford, because I feel like she expects to be a kept woman, or that is the feeling that I get from her, and also the way Ray treats her, right? I see how she expects to have servants, to have cooks, to have nannies, right? She expects people to do everything for her because she has this illness, which I don't think she does. I think she just uses this as an excuse for people to baby her and just to keep her safe, right? She wants to be a duchess. And that is exactly how she treats Izzy, right? She treats her child, not as a child, but as a tool, right? Whatever she can do, or whatever she needs to do as a mother, she expects Izzy to do so, right? She expects her to baby, or to babysit their brother, but also to cook for her, to make her tea and everything. She uses Izzy as a tool. She doesn't care about her as a child. She just wants to use her. On the other hand, Ray performs a different type of abuse, right? Because even though he is not as abusive as Jerry, he still is physically abusive because Jerry has ordered him to do so. But also at the same time, he is this emotionally immature parent where he just focuses on his work, focuses on his toys and on his games, because he has these delusions of grandeur, of like these fantasies of making money with his patents and with his inventions, right? He has this desire to be very intellectually accomplished, which is not something that we see, right? And even though he is not as abusive as Jerry, he is still making the mistake of not taking care of his child, because Izzy is the one that is actually putting all the work, right? She is the one that is wasting away, putting all the hours, whilst Ray and Jerry are just living this life that they pretend to have. So, very easily explained, Izzy becomes parentified. She becomes the parents that that her own parents don't want to be, right? Her autonomy fully dissolves the moment her little brother is born, right? She becomes nothing more than a tool, and she is useful because she is silent. She has this sense of autonomy and also hyper independency, but also is still dependent of her parents mandating what she needs and has to do, right? And then she is abused into silence and also into complacency. And what I see like in the book is also the fact that because her little brother is born, this autonomy suddenly is stripped away, right? Because she was in school until her brother was born, and then the mother Jerry needed help, so therefore she is pulled away from school. She gets all her like autonomy stripped away, or all her like everything that she is stripped away. So in this sense, I see how Izzy feels some sort of hatred towards her little brother, but I don't think she hates her brother herself, like itself. But I think what she hates is what this little brother being born has costed her, right? Like this freedom that she had disappeared when her little brother was born. And this is why the relationship that Izzy has with the Green Man is so powerful and so important to see, right? Because Izzy grew up or has grown up believing that love is not unconditional, but it's something transactional, right? It's something that you do, like you do something in order to receive the love, right? And this is exactly what the Green Man does, right? He like offers her protection, care, and escapism as well, and like he offers her our whole entire world, but she has to pay the price. And that is why she takes it without question, because that is normalized in her life. That is something that appears normal to her, and that is something that she is expected to do already anyways, right? And even more importantly, not only she sees or she thinks that this is normal, but also she thinks this is something that she can gain from. This is something positive for her, right? Because she thinks, this is the first time that someone is actually trying to help me, and I just have to do this little silly thing for him. Yeah, that seems like a great idea. That seems like a great deal to do. Because the Green Man doesn't force the deal on her. She naturally goes to him to ask for help, to ask for these deals. It doesn't matter what price she has to pay, right? So what the Green Man does is actually just waits, holds back, mirrors her needs, validates her pain, and also offers her a space where she can escape to, right? A space where she can be herself. So this is why I say that folk horror is so interesting and fascinating, because predators in folk horror do not target strength, they target need. Because at the end of the day, folk creatures are not misunderstood outcasts. They are exiled because they are dangerous, just like the Green Man of Eshwood Hall, right? At the end of the day, the Green Man is not this Mother Nature who is kind, who is caring, and who is trying to like save the world or save human beings from themselves, right? What the Green Man is a force that does not care about morality, because morality is something inherently human, right? What the Green Man does is hunt and hunt every single creature or every single entity who wanders a little bit too far away on the woods. So at the end of the day, Izzy's tragedy is not the fact that she trusts the Green Man, but the fact that she has no reason to trust a human being, because all the abuse, all the neglect, and everything that she has been dealing with is the perfect concoction for an ancient creature to come in and use and abuse and hunt. As a quick conclusion, The Green Man of Eshwood Hall is not a story about how a child is saved by magic. It's about how children will seek salvation anywhere, even in places that will destroy them. Folktales have always warned us about this, about wandering too deep into the forest or making deals with things that are older than us, but also most importantly, about mistaking attention for love. The lesson here isn't that magic is evil, it's that if society fails to protect its children, something else more ancient will claim them instead. And also that nature doesn't care if you survive. That's all for today, guys. Thank you so much for watching. If you enjoyed this video, please make sure that you subscribe, like, or comment down below. And before you go, I have a question I would love to ask you. Do you find folktales comforting, or do you find them deeply unsettling? Let me know in the comments, or you can also let me know on my social media platforms. I post that every day. But yeah, that's all for today, guys. Thank you so much for watching again, and I will see you soon. Bye.